Hello, hello. Welcome to the Lions Den After Dark. I am your host, Lauren Lyons, and we are here to recap the season 2 of Severance on Apple TV. Thank you all for joining me tonight. We're actually on YouTube and hi TikTok. How are you? It's my first time on TikTok. Let's see if anyone's gonna come and join. Okay, I see you, Jeremy. Hi. Thank you for tuning in. So, this is my first time dueling on both. So, please bear with me for those watching on YouTube and for those watching on TikTok. I'll make sure to look at both of the comment section. Hey, hey, hey. I'm going to make sure to do my best to look at both sides to answer all questions and see all comments. So, for those of you who have been following Severance, y'all, this season has been absolutely wild. There's so much that we can get into and talk about. I can't wait to get into that. But of course, before we get started, we have to do a couple of house den rules because this is a scripted TV. I don't really have to go over my disclaimer fully, but you know how we like to have fun. So if you want to go grab your favorite drink, cocktail, whatever you're drinking, do so, and let's get into it. All right. So, over on YouTube, we have a cast list so that we can keep up with who we're talking about because there is a huge cast here on In Severance season 2 premiere. So, what we're going to do is we're just really going to talk about overall what happened during the season and then just really highlight some of the crazy moments of the show for those who have been following. So, Severance is pretty much a company, right? And I don't know if we necessarily know where Lumen is or where they are across the United States. Oh my goodness, a lot of people are joining from TikTok. Hello, welcome. Um, so we're somewhere random. Looks like the Midwest, and we have this company called Lumen. It honestly feels like this is a town where the company owns everything. And so pretty much Lumen is a company that believes in the severance process where they put a chip in your head and you develop two consciousness, right? And that one conscious goes to work, the other one gets to live their life. So essentially you if you're real or your outie is what we refer to in severance. Your outie is pretty much doesn't work. They're just chilling. They remember nothing about work. But then you have your innie who their entire life is their job, which is working at Lumen. And there's a lot of controversy around if people should have these severance chips in their heads because is it ethical? Do we really know what's going on with in Lumen and at the building? Are they taking care of their innies? Because there's still people, which we'll get into a little bit more later. But it's a very weird situation. So pretty much Mark, who is our lead, we've seen Mark, the actor. He's been in multiple things. I know him from Parks and Rec, but he is pretty much the lead of the story where he has signed up to go and work at Lumen, and I guess his job is really doing clerical work. I mean, he's really not, it's not really clear what he does, right? Which is the whole creepy vibe of Severance. They really don't know what they do. So we get Mark, and here when we get Mark, we meet a bunch of his coworkers. What we notice is kind of how, like, if you're in an office, you have cubicles, and you may have like a row of people where this building only has 4 in a room. So it's very weird, very odd. Here we meet Dylan, we meet Irvin, and then we meet Helly, who is new. Helly is new. That's where we pick off in season 1. And I'm not going to go too much into season 1. But overall with season 1, we start to unpack, that Lumen has some hidden secrets, hidden spaces and places, in the company, and people, the innies are now getting curious because, yeah, if I'm sitting here and I'm filing and I'm clicking numbers based on a feeling, that's weird. I'm going to ask questions. I want to know why. And then, of course, they literally had a torture room, which I think anyone would like take a step back and be like, okay, this is getting a little interesting. Of course, you know, you have that happening, and then you can't tell me exactly what my work is going towards. Um, the innies start to get curious and start asking questions, and they pretty much discover that Lumen is doing some shady stuff. They're doing some weird stuff. So they decide to come up with this plan where Dylan, co-lead, and Dylan, listen, say what you will about Dylan, but Dylan gets the job done, okay? Dylan, they find out how you can switch on the chip, and they are able to connect to their Audis and try to come back with information and let them know of the conditions happening at Lumen. So we see that end with season one. Okay. What we find out from season one is Helly is actually an Egan. She is really supposed to be the next person in line of being over the company. Mark's Audi finds out, Rennie finds out that his wife is actually the counselor that was on staff, Miss Casey or Gemma. He finds out that she's actually alive. And then we get Irvin, who is older, and what we're starting to see is that older people who were Severance, they begin having integrating on their own because I guess their brain chemistry, they never really explained it why. But Irvin, pretty much his Audi has been trying to figure out this whole thing before anyone has been suspicious, right? He's got these drawings, he's got, maps in his room, everything. He done already figured it out. He's already been on the scene. He already got a clue, right? That's why we need him to like come back because, yeah, they wouldn't have gotten where they were if it weren't for Irving, and we know that to be true. And then we get Dylan, who pretty much, from Milchick experienced it first and knew about the switch. He pretty much sacrificed not doing, going and being a part of the coup, but really the person like allowing them to do it. So he played a big role. But with Dylan, we do get into a little bit more of who his Audi is and the differences of the two. But so we end that season. Season one really pretty much ends that where they get the messages to their Audis. Season two opens up with this really cool like cinematography of Mark just running in like this maze. It's really cool, really artsy type of vibe going on with his character. And there's like this weird shadow of a person like staring behind him. And I feel like we didn't really even get an answer to that, which was very interesting. But yeah, so we open up with season two. And because of their, coup that they had done with Dylan, now Severance is like, okay, we need to rebrand. We need to public that, no, we're not doing any harm to people. We're doing a good job. We in silence the already backlash that they were receiving from doing severance procedures. So what we start to see, like now they've created this room where they have pretty much done propaganda. They're doing propaganda and saying like, yes, they were bringing justice and they're the reason why we changed our company and now we want to make Lumen better. Shout out to them, and created this whole false story and are negating the fact that people are asking, what are you doing at Lumen? What you doing? So it was like, yeah, y'all are really trying to gaslight everybody. And they did. But what we come to find out is originally they weren't going to have all the his coworkers come back, but whatever the the project that they're working on that Lumen is covering up really needs Mark. They need Mark. So they saw that like we can't get this done unless Mark, unless everyone is here, he's not going to finish. But this is where we then get Helly, who we like, really become her outie and infiltrate and figure out what's going on in the with the innies. So we get this rebrand. We get now Milchick. He's now over it. They fire Carmen, which we'll get into her shortly. Harmony. I don't know why I call her Carmen. Harmony, which Harmony is something else. She's a little crazy. But so we get Helena, and we really get to see like her differences. Which I don't know how many of y'all knew that she was her outie. For me, it was pretty obvious. Like because she just won, like the things she would say. Helena was definitely more cold than Helly. Helly wasn't really trying to work in the system; she was trying to burn it down. And Helena's like resolutions to the problems would literally be like, "Let's work with them. Let's be nice. Let's." And I'm like, y'all should know that that is not Helly, but she was lying and didn't, and they never knew that she was really truly an Egan. So, fast forward to I think one of the most powerful episodes when they went on. I can't even tell you like if it was an actual room or actually outside, and they had just like I don't know, like this very supervised space where they were doing the scavenger hunt, I guess, essentially. Because what did they even get out of it? Oh yeah, I guess they had to find something, do something. I don't even know, y'all. This is weird. This is some weird white people stuff. I'm just keeping it completely real. This is just weird psycho thriller type of stuff. So as we saw robots, and I think really a clear foreshadow as to what Lumen and Shady Stuff Lumen got going on. That's what we got to see when they went into the woods. So they go into the woods. This is where things escalate between Helena and Mark, not Helly. And they do the little do the do. But then we really see the startling difference between Helena and Helly and her personality. And Irvin's on the case. He's the only one to figure out, baby, you playing. You not Helly. I know my Helly. Who are you? You're an imposter. And that's what we see. And so it goes down, of course. It definitely gets really intense there. And so then they finally find out the truth that Helena is an Egan. So Irvin demands that they bring back Helly and flip the switch. That's the first time we see it where they had to like break their protocol, like, and get Helly back, which then results in Irving losing his job, which we love Irving because, hello, this dude, like, solved it. He was on the case. He was clocking T. His Indian outie was clocking T. So he really was a liability for them. He really had to go because he really would have, I feel like the storyline would have moved quicker if Irving was there because he was on the case. Like, we are Irving fans. This man gets it. He got it. Okay? So while all this is going on, right, we're talking about Harmony, who is she was the former floor manager and is a little not right in the head. Let's just keep it for real. Homegirl is a glorified Kier follower. Okay. She is down for the cause. And quite frankly, getting rid of her was probably not the smartest because she's invested and she really worked hard to make sure all of this worked out and was the person who clocked what they were doing when they split the switch with the chip and find out is the person who came up with the whole concept. So why would y'all not want to be on her good side? Like, unless you want to kill her, which we can see, with this scene with her with Helene's bodyguard, they probably was trying to kill her. I don't know. But literally, like Milchick, he don't care that much. Like he cares, but not in the same way that Harmony cared by far. So kind of see the difference in that, like, yeah, he don't care as much. He wasn't like, okay, what's special about today? I don't. Okay, I'm gonna do my job because I like to do my job, but like, what is it? She, baby, everybody would have probably had on their little church hats, white, everything, because this is her life, this is her religion, okay. But they let her go. She's no longer there, and this, like, the scene of the car was really weird because the way that she just took off and was like, "I'm out of here because I know how y'all like to move," was really funny. Because yeah, I don't know what it was about to do to you, but to see her develop from being such a stickler and being so care strong in the cause and completing Cold Harbor, for her to now be the one of the biggest reasons why it flops, or so we think, was so interesting because I always wonder, like, I feel like she got another ulterior motive for sure. Like, I don't think that's it. Because you got to think, if you're smart enough to come up with the chip and the concept of Severance, her goal is always going to be, how do we get Kier? That's not changing. So I think with them not, even if, Cold Harbor doesn't necessarily work, why don't y'all think that she already got another plan in order to make sure Kier comes back? Like, if you can come up with the concept, absolutely. So she's definitely this, like, yeah, she's helping, but that's because homegirl got a whole nother plan. Because she loves Kier down. That is her Lord and Savior, okay? Like she do. She loved that man. It's not that simple. So I feel like she definitely has this ulterior motive, and I definitely think we're gonna see that season 3. Um, I felt like Devin was real silly because she got me when she called her. I mean, it ended up working out, like, really, but I don't know. I kind of have hope in the black woman because, again, in real life and in most things, black women never let us down. So I was like, okay, this is what you want to go with. You're going to see how this going to happen and fall out. Because I bet you she going to be right back when all of this falls. Harmony is going to be right here waiting on y'all. And she's coming for y'all. She's coming for y'all. I just don't believe she let go that easily. I don't. I really don't. So next, who else do we want to talk about? Oh yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Milchick because I really enjoyed seeing his evolution this season. I feel like they did a really good job. Let me tell you something. Mr. Milchick was waiting for his life to do that whole marching routine. Honey, this was the HBCU halftime show for Mr. Milchick. He did not play. Like, man, he was stepping. Like, I was like, okay, you better get it. Like, he was prepared. He was ready. Like, he said, okay, if I'm going to go out and I'm over this job, I'm going to dance for my life. And that's exactly what he did. He danced for his life. It was hilarious. I really love how, like, we got, like, the story, especially the season finale, like, really shifted into this, like, very 80s camp, but still very, like, scary thriller style. I thought that was really interesting and made it, like, even more intense for me, I guess, because it's getting silly that I know something is about to, like, completely break and terrify me. But Mr. Milchick, I really enjoyed his story. Um, and it really showed you the complexity of being a Lumen employee and being a part of um, one being, even though you're loyal and even though you're doing this for a cause and you are like committed, how still, as especially a black man, are mistreated in the workforce, and how like one minute they need you and the next minute they don't, and how he's doing all of this, risking himself every day, fighting for his life when he steps in that goddamn office. For you to sit here, like for him to then continue to get mistreated and continue to be harshly judged. I mean, I think really showing that perspective was made him like us connect to him more, because it's so real and it's an experience that we can all like connect with, right? Hey, girly pops. Hey, I don't know who that is, but hey. Okay, hey. But I really enjoy like seeing that, because that's a real element that most black people experience when we go into the workforce. The microaggressions and always being measured to unrealistic expectations. And that's what Milchick really experienced this season. So one of the first things that happened that kind of opened and led his journey was, well, for one, he came up with a plan on how to like ease this way. Like, okay, how do we rebrand? How do we make this better? Here's my plan. He came up with a whole plan that helped them, that was creative, even with going to the, taking them outside and everything. Like, he had good ideas. But what he would do, or what one of the first things that they did was, in order to try to make him feel like he was included in the company, was essentially give him a blackface poster of Kier. Kier's white, really Caucasian, blue eyes, the whole thing. I'm not quite sure how we thought that that was a great gift. You could have gave me a bonus. You could have gave me a raise. But you decided to give me a portrait of a white man in blackface. Hello, HR. I would no, absolutely not. I would have hello HR. I would like to file a complaint. Cause what? So you start to see where he starts to struggle with who he is in this space, and should he even show up in this space? And that's where he goes to what's the girl name? Natalie. Her name is Natalie. That's where he goes and speaks to Natalie about the situation and see how she feels. And poor little Natalie, she's disassociated herself so much. She's pretty much a robot. And yeah, I don't know what homegirl. Yeah, I know people were kind of like, oh, she is okay with it, but no, I think it was to show in a very extreme Jordan Peele way of how much black people have to disassociate and separate themselves, like and separate themselves when they go into the workforce, and that's really what I think her character was supposed to represent. No, that girl went okay with it, but she cared about this job. She liked this job. That's what she gonna do. So we start to see that. Then we get to how, when there's a situation and problem, how they address him and how disrespectful they are towards him. Okay. And it's like, yeah, they were on Harmony, but they weren't on Harmony like that. They be really on him. Excuse me. So what we saw evolve was, it was time for his assessment. And everybody knows, like, if you've been working and you know it's time for your little assessment, you'd be like, oh Lord, let's see what they're working with. And I don't know, if anybody can relate, but I've definitely been in a situation where you are being evaluated for your job and things you're being evaluated with have nothing to do with your job description. And yeah, like that has happened and that does happen and that is real. Which again is why I really appreciated them going there with Milchick's journey at Lumen. So he gets his evaluation. Y'all, it's petty. It's so petty. And he better than me because he held so much restraint. Like he did. Kudos to you. But that would have been my last day. Absolutely not. I would have been on LinkedIn on the clock, ready to go. Like, because why do you care how you paper clip something on a piece of paper? Like petty like that. Just, I mean, his entire evaluation was so elementary. It's like you're concerned about that. You're literally, allegedly, trying to rebirth, excuse me, bring back here, and you're concerned about a paperclip. We've lost the plot. So that's microaggression. Like what? Excuse me? What are we talking about? So that essentially, to me, tells me that this is a lose-lose situation for Milchick. And no matter how you look at it, are they really going to ever give him credit? And is he really going to ever be appreciated? Probably not. Probably not. Because if you're sitting here measuring me on something this petty, it doesn't matter what I do. You're going to always find something. And then we get to his vocabulary. He likes to use a bunch of big words, the man, because he's smart. That's his thing. And you have, I forgot his name, but the security guard who pretty much was like, yeah, you need to dumb it down because you're using these big words and you need to, people don't understand what you're saying. First of all, everybody use context clues. And maybe I don't know what he's saying, but God darn it, when he finished his sentence, I know exactly what he's trying to say. So could it be that you might be slow and you might not be smart enough to know the vocabulary? Yeah, that's what it is. Because it was nothing that he said that I couldn't get on board with. Like, it knew, okay, that's what you mean. Even if I didn't know exactly the big word. But you literally wanted him to change who he was and his approach, and it wasn't like it wasn't working. People understood him. People were engaged with him. They knew what he was saying. So it wasn't a matter of they didn't understand him and people were complaining. That was not happening. So it was like, oh, okay, so you want him to dumb himself down, but then you're nitpicking him to do better and everything else. So we really see a scene where Milchick is trying to, in the mirror, change himself. And that was it. And I think in by design, it was supposed to look very psychotic. But this is what a lot of Black individuals go through in the workforce. It may not be, as horrifying as it physically looks, but that's what it feels like, where you have to this duality in how you have to show up in professional spaces. So I feel like that was a really great way of showing how you have to code switch. Really extreme way of code switching. So by the end of this, though, you can just see where Milchick is getting exhausted because, again, he's starting to learn that it really doesn't matter anymore. And whatever I do, they're going to always find something. So we get to finally that point where he is talking to, what's his name? What's his name? What is the other guy's name? Security guard's name? Something with an H. We finally get a moment where he tells him in a very I wish I could look up the exact word he used, but he pretty much told him in the bougiest, biggest words you could ever do that it kissed my behind. And I said, I know that's right. And to then tell him hey, what you're not going to do is blame me. Okay. You're responsible for Audi Mark. He's gone. He's not here today. So you figure it out. You're not going to put this on me. This is not how this is going to go. And I was like, yeah, he ate that. He ate that. As he should. He should have ate that. So, I'm with him when he writes. And when you stand it on principle, I'm with you. Yes. But now you get in the way of Mark and Helly, that's when I'm not with you. Okay. So like now I need you to kind of go find something else to do because you in the way. Like, go on now. Um, so we pretty much get he's still trying to do his best, trying to help Lumen and complete Cole Harbor. Of course, Mark and Helly's relationship starts to grow. Now it's actually Helly. Helly gets upset because Helena was there and people know they didn't know the difference, which you like they didn't know. Like I get what she's saying and coming from. Like, are y'all really different? And it comes to pose the question: are innies and outies two separate people? And I'm curious, like, do y'all feel like the innies and outies should be treated as two separate people? I personally feel like y'all are literally the same. It's just accessing different levels of consciousness, but y'all are the same. Um, so I feel like Helly is who Helena wants to be, and Mark is how Audi Mark wants to just, I think, just be at peace, Edward, not at peace, but just present, like without the pain, but just existing. I think Mark wants to exist without feeling pain from grieving from his wife. So I really think they're the same people, but whatever. So Haley feeling like, well, I'm mad because Helena got some and I did not. So they go and do that. Okay. And you'll see why I'm rolling my eyes later. We'll talk about why I'm rolling my eyes later when we get to the end of the season. So I was like, okay, sure. Which I can say from an any perspective, I do understand you want to you have to find little joys in life, and or not little joys in life, but in this particular life at Lumen. You have to find these connections and relationships in order for them to keep going and be motivated. They do have to create their own little life because it's very hard. Like, you blink and you back at work again doing work you don't know. So you have to look out for companionship, like the little snacks and play the little, games that they got for you in order to make it joyful because it seems very boring. Like, it's very boring. So I get it. I get it, I guess. So let's talk about Dylan a little bit more. Dylan pretty much is, the worker who kind of he is overachiever, likes to get the job done, but will be the first to really like bite back if you get in their way or they don't like something. That's excuse me, that's Dylan. So what we come to find out about Dylan is he is actually really a family man. He loves it. He loves his family. He is yearning for that in order for him to continue to be motivated. They have to use that in order for him to keep doing his job and help with Cold Harbor. So, they try to say, hey, well, since you saw your son and you have a wife, what if we arrange a situation where your Audi spouse, can come and visit you and you can get to know her? He likes that idea. It appeases him. He's here for it. Um, so then he starts essentially having an affair with his wife. Yeah, like down to I want to marry you type of thing. And I think again it proves my point because she literally said, "You remind me of who my husband used to be." Cause yeah, that's your husband. He just That's just not a conscious person is not there. Consciously, he's just not that person, but that's your husband. Maybe that's not the side he's not showing that side anymore, but that's him, and that's why you kissed him and you was like, having a great time hanging out. That's why. So, I think to me it further proves that point of that situation. But Dylan pretty much is over it, and at the end of the season, he's like, "Okay, I'm over it. I'm done." Both his Audi and Innie. But what I found very interesting was the letter that his Audi left him, which is actually showing you where his Innie and his Audi are very similar, because he showed him compassion, like, "Hey, I know you're probably tired. I know I get it, but it's up to you if you want to stay." And so I think Dylan again sacrifices again to help support and help the other Innies that are trying to really figure out what's going on, which is another thing that I'll talk about in a minute. But Dylan honestly is one of the people that have sacrificed a lot, and he really does show up. So he be doing a lot. Like, you got to give him kudos. You got to give him props. He's helpful. Like, and he has actually seen like and lost the most in order to try to help the Innies, like, in this moment. So yeah, give it up to Dylan. Dylan's that dude. Like, whatever you gotta, he's that dude. Now, when it comes to the purpose of the Innies, this is where I have questions. Because, okay, if I know that I'm essentially a consciousness of my Audi, what is the purpose of our coup? Are we just trying to figure out what Lumen is up to? Or are we trying to stop it? But realistically, how much are we going to really stop it without our Audis? And that's been my question, right? Because we get to closer to the end, or we get to the end, we can talk about the end, because it's honestly, not a whole lot. I mean, there is a lot going on and we could talk about, but I just think the overall concept, we finally get to the end, right? Cold Harbor, and we see that they're doing this for an experiment purposes, right? We won't go fully into it because there's some people that I do want to like touch upon. We get to the end, we see that they want to do experiments. How effective is the Innie going to be? I just feel like an Audi, you have more like you can go talk to the press, you can go rally to people who are anti-Severance and anti-Lumen. There's so much more I feel like you can do, and when there's time for them to leave, they don't take them. That don't make good sense to me. Like, that don't make good sense to me. But I'll come back to that because there is two people that I want to talk about. One is the doctor, so the black lady, the one who started the reintegration for Mark and his former coworker that visits Mark in season 1 that happens to die from being reintegrated because she's very new to the science. One thing I'll say is I don't necessarily like how we left off with her. Like, I wanted her, like, she just disappeared and walked away, and I was like, that's it? So we're done? Like, there's nothing else that we want to say about her? And then it just felt like she was playing operations. Like, did you really know what you was doing in integrating him back? I didn't feel really confident in her, but maybe she do, because he was getting memories and stuff, but it was kind of like, okay. But I thought we were gonna get a little bit more with that. We were reintegrating. I really thought we were gonna get more in that, and I thought it was gonna be a Mark where we were gonna get Innie and Audi Mark together. That was kind of disappointing to not see what if that actually could work, or exist, or somebody get reintegrated. I think, yeah, I think I'm saying it correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. But um I thought we would at least see somebody. Like I thought maybe Irvin was gonna meet up with Mark and it was gonna be like, all right, boom, you can try it on me and this house. I don't know. I was just hoping that it would be a little bit more. So again, this is where I feel like Harmony is gonna do something shady around this. She is. She is. Because you know that somebody can do your science experiment. I don't know. Like I just feel like there's gonna be more to that. Maybe that's why she left so abruptly because we really didn't get no ending with her. But yeah, so we'll see what that's like in with season 3, and then the last person before I give my thoughts on the series finale be Gemma. So there is a lingering question around: is Gemma dead for real? And I'm gonna be real with you. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I kind of feel like I don't know. There's a couple of theories out here. So, and again, if you want more of a like analysis and Easter egg, you guys should definitely need to look into Eric Voss at New Rock Stars. They're the best. They're my favorite. One of my favorite podcasts. They can tell you a little bit more in depth. But a couple of theories that I've seen from them and from on Twitter is one, they feel like Gemma was always a Lumen employee and that Mark was never supposed to fall in love with her, or something about their love that they targeted Gemma in order to use her for Cold Harbor. Okay, so those are the two theories, that either she worked for Lumen or they had been following their love story and something about their love and connection was what they needed to recreate in order to do their experiment with Kier, which I think I'm assuming that it is they want to resurrect Kier. So, which he'd be so much of a savior. Why did he raise up? If Jesus can do it in 3 days, what's Kier waiting on? Yeah, let me just say that he ain't all of that. Because my Jesus, my Lord and Savior, rose in 3 days. But anyway, we won't go there. But I'm just saying, if he was all of that, I gotta make him come back. Anyway, I'll leave that alone. But no, so there's that theory. The theory, and so there's also the theory that Gemma never died or is a robot. There was that theory, which I don't, and that's why she couldn't have kids, was because she was never real and never supposed to fall in love with Mark. But because she did, is this the key to bringing back here? That's a theory. But then there's also the theory that she never died. She was just they just faked her death in order to, I guess, get Mark to work at Lumen. Which, how did you know Mark would want to work at Lumen? Like, you would have really had to predict that this man would be so devastated that he would want to do something like this. So that's a very large, like that's a very, you know, um, you really big chance that he would actually want to do that. But I mean, I guess he did. I guess it worked. That's a really big plan to be like, oh my God, we're gonna kill off his wife, and then somehow like he's gonna turn to us to want to work here. I don't know, but it also seems like this is like the most one of the best jobs you can have in this town. So that also could be why they felt like confident that he would turn to come and work at Lumen and fulfill their plan. But so there's that prediction, or the prediction is that Gemma really died and they resurrected her, and they, because they were successful in resurrecting her, they want to use them to test out again, bringing back here. Okay, those are the different theories. The one that I believe the most is probably that Gemma never really died. I feel like there was something in the flashback I wish I could go back, like remember what it was. But when they did the beautiful flashback of their story, it was such a very beautiful way of telling the story because there was a lot of like, um, speculation on was their relationship healthy? Was that why he was mourning in the way that he was mourning? Or like with guilt a part of that, which or was it really beautiful and pure and that's why he's devastated? So I really love that we got to see what happened and what led up to it. But there was something in the flashback that had kind of made me feel like she was being watched. And I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but I feel like they watched her. And when she went to the party by herself, I think that they had like kind of made up that she had died. The two cops, it was just like, I don't know, they wasn't giving cop to me. They really wasn't giving cop to me. So, but they faked her death. Because did he even see a body? That's the question. Did he really see a body? I don't think Mark ever saw a body. No. I think they told him because it was badly accident was really bad. She was unrecognizable, but I really feel like no, I don't think she ever died. And I think that they had been watching her this entire time and they probably set eyes in motion to push, motivate Mark to come work at Lumen, which is a lot of work to do. But that's what I think. I don't think she never died. Okay. What was very interesting was
What was very interesting was watching her go through the different rooms that were in the facility. And I really feel like, hold on, y'all. Oops, switching my AirPods. 1 second. Okay. So I really feel like it was very interesting to see her change into these different, were she even different people? Like, that was just really interesting to me. And again, poses the question, what is y'all end game? What are y'all trying to do? I don't really feel like it was very clear as to what y'all were like, what they're still trying to do. And although we're one step closer, I really hope that it's not giving Pretty Little Liars. We're 6 seasons in and we don't know who A is. I I don't need y'all to do that to me, please. I really don't need y'all to do that. Let's go ahead. Let's tie this bow. Let's not linger because I can't do that again. I cannot do that. I promise you. No, let's not do that. But pretty much they were taking her in different rooms and testing her for whatever, again, we don't really know. Testing, doing different tests with her. Her doctor ended up kind of like infatuated with her, which is very interesting. And yeah, so Mark at the end of this does find out that she is still alive and, ultimately devises a plan to get her out, both his innie and outie. So, um, yeah, that's the last person that I really wanted to talk about before we get into the last episode and specifically the highlights in in the last episode with Gemma. I also feel like seeing Miss Casey, I knew that it was something odd and interesting about them and their chemistry because it was like there's chemistry, but it's like there shouldn't be chemistry. What is that about? Okay, I don't know. It was a little weird. Um. So anyway, we finally get to the meat of the series. The last two episodes where we are getting close to Cole Harbor. Cole Harbor is the file that Mark has been working on for the last 2 years. and they or his 25th file is what they called it, but he's been working on it, and and they are excited about it, and it's a major accomplishment. At Lumen, they do celebrations, milestone celebrations, but this one is a lot differently because it's a big day. We still don't really necessarily know what the big day is supposed to be about. We know it's connected to what do they call it? Here we have them. Woe, frolic, malice, dread, all these clusters and tempers that they've been testing throughout the years that Mark has been doing the files. Come to find out, this was all the testing that Gemma was going through in the lab and while he was completing those files. So that's, I guess, how he was able to feel emotions, because they were Gemma's, which again, it ain't really making sense to me. I honestly can't really tell you why. But he was feeling everything she was feeling, because I guess they was just so in love and are a soulmate or whatever. Okay. So the girl had 24 innies. That'll make somebody go crazy. 24 innies? Because he had 24 files. So the last severance, or the last any she would have, would be Cold Harbor. That's torture. That's psychological torture, like for real. Okay. So what I really liked was there were so many beautiful cinematography moments in the last season episode, and one was when we get the back and forth between Annie and Addie Mark, which I felt like was very interesting, and to pretty much, like, how we talk to ourselves, and some people, not in a weird way, but like, you're having this internal dialogue. I loved how we really got to see them internally argue with each other using a camera, and the back and forth, and the differences and really the similarities of the two, because they ended up doing, like, being the same or acting the same way, which to me again poses the question in view, are they the same or are they different? But literally, Audi Mark was fighting with his inner self and his inner qualities that he knows he has, and that the any Mark is showing. And that other side of him, they're battling each other. And so I really thought they did an excellent job really showing that what internal struggle and battle looks like. That was really cool to see. I felt like it got definitely frustrating, because again, I feel like y'all literally are the same. Like, any Mark, babes, you're never going to have a life outside of Lumen. So what are we even talking about? And if you know that this is what they're trying to do, and they know that they're using you for something else, why are you sitting here mad? Because Audi Mark, who is the real person, is like, I want my wife back. Like, okay, hey, I'm the one that's really impacted here. Like, and any Mark is acting as if he has a life of his own. I'm very confused. Like, no, you actually don't, though. You're literally the same person. So we're gonna see how that's gonna be, because, like, huh? What do you mean? You literally are Mark, outside Mark. You don't exist outside of Lumen, but you're trying to tear Lumen down. So as a result, that's bye-bye to any Mark. But he's not there yet, I guess. So again, I thought that was really cool. We then get it to where Mark is Severin on the Severin 4 in the elevator, and to see this shot of them, how they've decked out the office, because he's gonna complete the 25th file, was absolutely crazy. We get this major portrait that honestly reminded me of the Last Supper, where Mark is at the computer and all of his employees, everyone is behind him, rally behind him as he completes the file. That was the image that we see when we first get to the seventh floor. And it was just like, okay, what's going down? Because why are y'all so happy that I finished this file? I would have had questions. Like, I would have asked some questions because this is weird. This is getting weird. How in the last, because you get off at 5 o'clock. So it's been about what, 12 hours? How y'all paint this whole picture of me for completing this file? I'm confused. I would be scared. I would be so I'm turning back around. I'm going home. That wouldn't freak you out. That would freak me out. So he walks in there. They've got that like poster up, and he knows, okay, this is about to get real. Yeah, you don't say. Very weird. Very, very weird. So then of course he goes, he finishes, he talks to Helly. He says to Helly, he has his reservations, of course, because he doesn't want to lose Helly. But everybody keeps telling him, you're gonna lose her anyway. She's an Egan. Like, she could really just decide not to ever come back. Or switch back to Helena. Like, she's not none of y'all are real, but she's really not real. So he's not understanding, it's not computing in his head. So she tells him, no, you got a job, complete it, let's do it. Like, let's get this done, let's figure this out, let's go down to the floor and let's save her. Helly still wants to save her. So Milchick comes in, or he completes it, they complete it together. Milchick comes in. Baby, like I told y'all earlier, Milchick put on the performance of his life. This was the Milchick halftime show, okay? It was his time. He was like, we were all there waiting to see Milchick. He was Beyonce in that moment, absolutely. He did his doggone thing, okay? He was stepping. He was the drum major, child. But what was very interesting was the dialogue between him and the robot of Kier. And clearly we know that there was somebody in the office doing the voice of the robot of Kier. But, Milchick goes back to his high vocabulary, and the joke that of the robot again pokes fun of him saying these big words. But in the same breath, the Kier robot says a big word. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, y'all know what y'all doing. Y'all really know what y'all doing here. And Milchick is over it. He doesn't care. He's like, you know what? I don't really, at this point, I'm just going to perform for my life, and you can do whatever you want to do. And I was like, yeah, exactly. So, he definitely reminded me of Drumline. He definitely, like, he was at his own Super Bowl halftime show. Okay. And I could definitely relate. Like, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out with a bang. And that he did do. So we get a shot of Gemma downstairs, and I couldn't tell. I feel like it was that Gemma was in her clothes that she died in. I'm pretty sure. It's what it was giving. And then we also see the lady with the lamb, which I didn't mention earlier, but they got lambs, a whole pot pasture in the building, which again, that right there would have been my last day. I don't understand it. It's too much weird stuff going on. Okay. I don't need to know. You can take my chip out. I'm done. I'm clocked out for the rest. Don't call me. I'm not coming back. There's a whole herd of lambs and sheeps and whatever and stuff. Okay. So I guess they were holding the lamb for this moment. She comes, sacrificial lamb. And this is the actress that was on which we know her from Game of Thrones. Her characters always come through. Like, they always come through. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I thought I had a picture of her, but I guess I do not. Her characters always come through, and that's exactly what she did. Sorry. Sorry, YouTube. We accidentally kicked ourselves out. But and then we now have TikTok. All right, thank you. We're back. We're not being kicked out. I guess we're hitting the hour mark, so we're definitely gonna wrap this up because yeah. But she always comes through. She was on Game of Thrones, and she was really mad about her lamb, like, or she was like nervous, kind of shaky, and I was like, "Girl, you good?" Apparently, I guess maybe there were other lambs that were dying, and again, when you're in any, you cling on to anything. It's precious to you because you don't have an outside life, so you only value the things that you see, which is the in the Lumen office. So she has a very tight relationship when it comes to these lambs, and so you can see her kind of, you know, a little bit when she's bringing the lamb on the cart. And so pretty much what we get is we go to a room with her and the bodyguard, and they want her to make a sacrifice with a gun, like, sacrificial lamb. I fully got that reference, and I guess as a way to commemorate this special day being Cold Harbor. At the same time, Mark, while is running to try to get to downstairs so that he can go and rescue Gemma and get her to the flight of the stairwell so that Gemma they can run and go and leave Lumen. So while this is happening, Mark runs into the actual room, and he's trying to get into the room, not realizing that that's where the sacrifice is happening. So boom, he opened the door. Oh my God. Ah! Like, we're there. And the bodyguard starts trying to kill Mark. Like, it wasn't about like, oh, I'm just trying to get you back to your room. No, no, no. I'm going to go ahead and kill you. And that right there lets you know that he served his purpose and we no longer need Mark. And that's what they was going to do anyway. Because you really could have just said, Mark even tried to say, I'm going to go back. No, man literally pulled him back and tried to suffocate him multiple times. I was like, yeah. So, any Mark, what do you think you are going to do if he was trying to kill you? Well, Mary, I'm calling her Mary because she had a little lamb. Mary and her little lamb, because she was, she didn't want him to touch her little lamb, goes and he does not get the gun away. He gets the gun, she gets the gun, and she pretty much, goes in on the bodyguard, goes in on him, okay? She was whooping his behind. She did not care. So they hold him hostage. He goes downstairs to go get Gemma. And as he is transitioning to his Audi, he ends up shooting him and killing him with the one bullet in the gun. Y'all, that was absolutely crazy. Like, to see like an accidental death at that. I love how they had like comedic moments in these very intense scenes. And that was definitely one of them, because it was like, I don't think he's supposed to do that. But so Mark gets down to the floor. He tries to figure out the room that Gemma's in. They have the last test, which was going in a room in Cold Harbor, seeing a baby crib, and telling her to break down the baby crib. That was nasty work. I said, y'all, so nasty and so rude. Just so nasty and so rude. Like, that she wanted a baby. Why would you make her do that? But they wanted to pretty much see, I think, how similar or different her different innies would be from her Audi or whatever. I don't know. That was something I asked earlier on TikTok in the comments, what people felt about that part. And so Somebody said that they felt like they were testing to see if she still wanted to have a kid. I feel like I don't know. It was definitely a cruel test, nonetheless. But while she's doing that, he is fighting to get in to try to get her to come with him upstairs. We do have Helly, who helped Mark escape by building a distraction and locking Milchick in the bathroom. The band I found very interesting. They were also severed. So at least that's the perception that I thought, because the speech that she gave, they were like, she was talking to them like they were all innies. And I was like, why would you do that to musicians? Like, what purpose do you have to sever them? Like, people to come and play. That's actually crazy. So that was also very interesting that, like, you have severed musicians here. What is going on? Like, what? So as Mark is going down there, that scene of him and the worker lady just shouting at each other was so hilarious, because it was like, what? She would, like, you was like screaming, but you really wasn't doing nothing. It was just so funny. We're just gonna scream at each other. We're both very harmless, but we're just gonna scream and see who can scare each other first. That was absolutely funny. So back downstairs where Milchick is in the bathroom, you do have a moment where Milchick looks at himself in the mirror again, which reminds us of when he did it earlier in the season, as he was trying to code switch. And in this moment, you just see Milchick looking and reflecting like, this is not worth it. Like, no, I'm gonna get out, but this is what am I doing? Type of moment. That's what, that shot that we got from Milchick. So we eventually, Milchick does, with the strength of 1,000 angels, pushes down the door, and he was ready to go. He was ready to be like, all right, because I'm sick of this. Which, yeah, you sick of it. You sick of the wrong people, to be quite honest with you. Because I would have walked right out and pulled off and went home and let him figure it out. But whatever. But then when he saw that everybody was like on business, standing on business, and ready to go tussle head to toe with him too, he was like, oh, okay, this about to be something. But what was very interesting and that I did see is there were some predictions that Helly may have severed back to Helena in this moment. And I don't know. I was like at first like, nah, I don't think so. But when we get to the end, there's a reason why I may feel like that could be true. But before we get there, so we go back to Mark. He finally gets Gemma. He's able to convince Gemma, hey, come on, let's go. When she steps outside the door, Gemma's back. They have a moment. I'm like, okay, that's cute. Whatever. But y'all gotta go. So as they're trying to leave, the doctor's coming. They're, fighting him off. They've got blood all over themselves. And we get this very beautiful moment of where they finally to unite. It's very, gory and, not in the same pure, clean, romantic way that we saw them last time and in the flashback. So they're trying to escape. They're running. We finally get to the very last scene, which was so trifling, y'all. That scene was trifling. He gets her to the stairwell. He's like, come on, go. You're good. Go. She crosses over. Or no, when they get down to the severed bottom, they of course are Miss Casey and they enter in their innie. And they're like, they just trust that their Audi wanted them to go in that direction. So they're like, all right, let's go. She crossed over. His wife is back because we had Miss Casey. Now Gemma's back. And Gemma's like, come on, Mark, let's go. Come on. Mark is like staying there like, but I don't know if I want to go. What do you mean? Which, am I surprised because his Annie didn't want to do it? No, I'm not surprised. But it's like, again, what do you think you're really going to accomplish? Cause he just showed you he was willing to kill you. So as that go on, Kelly come over here in the back, just staring. Just I mean, she just looking, y'all. Just I was shocked. I was like, oh, this is foul. This is sick. Like, are you kidding me? And that's why I feel like she could have severed into Helena because in the beginning of the episode, it was Helly who said, let's complete this. Let's solve it. And you like pretty much knew that like there's no real future for us. So how all of a sudden now you just staring there, you just standing there looking like he coming home to me. Because that's the energy that it gave. That's the energy it gave. It's giving very Helena. It is. It is. Because Helly was very like she understood that like, no, it's really we really not gonna really work. Like this, you know. And she just stood, she didn't say Mark go. She just stood there. I said foul. That's what see trifling. Absolutely trifling. That was trifling. It was so trifling. So that's where we left. I overall think that it was done very well. It was the cinematography, the production value is always A1 with anything on Apple TV, if I'm being completely honest. But really with this show, I do feel like you know, they got to get the more of the word out because Apple TV is the best kept secret, to be quite honest with you. Like, they have such great shows and television, like shows. Honestly, not Paramount Plus, Peacock was my favorite streaming service. But over the course of 3 months, because y'all know I got that free subscription, Apple TV might take number one because the stories and the shows, everything they have on there is A1. Like, they do their big ones with the television shows. They just got to market. So if somebody from Apple TV see this, I know ain't really no influencer, but if you want to send me a package, child, I'll promote for you, okay? But yeah, no, this show is amazing. Like, it's really good. So I'm excited for season 3. We finally got the announcement that season 3 is coming back. I don't know why they had to wait to the end of season 2. Like, you had the views, Buki. What? Go ahead. Like, y'all should have went ahead because y'all should have already started filming. So we're not waiting 2 to 3 years to get a season 3. They're gonna have to do better with that. Y'all taking too long. I hate that. Don't do that. That's how you lose people. Y'all need to get to work Monday morning. Go on and get it going so we can get it at least next year. It'd be great if we can get it in fall, but I know that's a tall order. But overall, those are my thoughts. Where do I see season 3 going? I guess we have to see the rollout of what happens on the seventh floor. I think that the plan shifts, pivots, of course. Who will take the reins though? And I feel like it's gonna be the girl herself, Harmony. I think she gonna come in and she gonna save and rescue the day because at the end of the day, Kier is her I don't know, man, Lord and Savior. She gonna have something to do with it because they have to change it, they have to reshift it. Gemma, if I was Gemma, I would run, I would drive away. You never see me again. Gone with the wind. You can have her. Yeah. Wouldn't step foot back, wouldn't go back. You couldn't pay me, and not gonna happen. That's what I would do if I was Gemma. But we'll see. Devin. I like Devin. She has some agency. Her husband is a little weird. He's a little weird. I don't know if he's an op or not, but I think he's just a capitalist, to be quite honest with you. But we'll see where that goes in her role. And even with integration, can Mark even leave now? That's a valid question. you know, because he knows what happens. He knows Gemma's out there. All fair questions to ask. So we'll see. But, for those who've been watching the season, let me know your thoughts again. What do you guys think where season 3 is going to end up? Do you think that we're going to actually get some real answers on what Lumen is trying to do? Because we still are just guessing. We're assuming that they want to bring back Kier. That's what we're assuming. But, like, are they? I don't know. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And of course, please like, share, and subscribe. For those watching me on TikTok, thank you so much for joining me. This is my first live on TikTok. I was super nervous. Thank y'all for watching. If you want me to do it again, please let me know, because there are a couple other shows that we will be recapping. Like our next show that we'll be recapping for sure will be Married to Medicine. The reunion and the series recap, because we got a lot to say about that. So definitely tune in for those. And also check the new 2 episodes that we released on the Lion's Den, not after dark, but on the podcast. You can find them on Spotify and on YouTube if you want to watch it live. Had some amazing conversations with 2 good friends of mine, Khalil and Adriana. So you guys should definitely check it out. And yeah, if there's nothing else, thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a great night. Bye.